Oh, it's cold, but I have tea. Yay! It's not very good tea. All right, and welcome to lesson 5 on Python. So this is a lesson on string manipulation. So today's learning intentions will be, first of all, to actually write session 5 in the notes, not 4. There we go. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at strings within strings. We're going to be looking at the following functions. Is upper, is lower, upper, lower, and count. These are all different ways that we're going to be able to manipulate the data type of a string. So yeah, lots of string manipulation today. Should be fun. It's really cold in here. All right, so let's first of all start with one of the problems that we had in our previous thing, where in one of our previous lessons on decisions, where we had the case of wanting to ask for a specific question from the user. Is the door open or closed? Now, when we put in yes, all lowercase, because we typed all lowercase in the if statement, it worked. But when we had one of them as an uppercase letter, so a capital Y, it didn't work. So what you can do is you can do a lot of background manipulation of strings so that as long as the spirit of what the user types in is there, it will work. So you could have them type it in all capitals, and then you could just convert it to lowercase if you want to, or the opposite way around. So how do we do that? Well, what we will do is I'm going to jump into showing you what all these different is upper, is lower, uppers, lowers, and counts do before we do the string within string thing. There's going to be a bunch of different stuff today. So what I would suggest is when you see an example and after I've explained it, pause, put it into your glossary, try it yourself, and then play the video again and keep continuing on. So let's first of all start with is upper. Now, is upper is once again, a spoon is a spoon. Is upper is asking, is this thing uppercase, yes or no? So let's first of all see how we can actually apply that. What you can do is that you can put that into a standard print. You could do a print and ask name dot is upper. Now, you don't necessarily have to put anything into the function arguments here. This is one of those cases where you don't actually need to. But when I print this, it's asking the question, is upper, and the readback is false. So Python has said no, it is not uppercase, so therefore it is false. This is your booleans coming in here. So, haha, take that. It's not upper. If I was to change that to is lower, which is the other feature, which is the other function, and run it, we get true. So is upper and is lower is a nice way to check to see as to whether or not something is upper or lower case. If it's true, and this is where you can put it into an if statement, if the thing is lowercase, then you don't need to do any conversion on it, so you can just run through and do the rest of your code. If it's not lowercase, then you'll need to do a conversion on it. Same for upper. So it's a nice little check. Is upper, is lower. Is whatever this is, upper or lowercase. So that is upper and is lower. Guess what upper and lower does? It changes the case. So we've got name equals Boris. If I was just to print name as it is right now, we would get Boris all in lowercase. But I want it to be in uppercase. So what I can do here is I can print name dot upper, write it again, and we're shouting, Boris! Hey, how you doing, buddy? Because we've converted it all into uppercase just by using that function. If, once again, we were to have Boris already in uppercase, and we were just to change this little guy down here to lowercase, now we're quiet. And we're just saying, hello, Boris, how you doing? Because Boris is in lowercase now. So that is dot lower and dot upper, and that's using it in a print. You can, if you want, let's say we've got the name Boris, let's get new name, a variable, and have it equal to name dot lower. What we're doing here is, and then if we print new name, is that we are, once again, converting Boris to a lowercase character, but we're storing that variable. So remember, we're storing that data in a new variable, I should say. So if you just wanted to print them in lowercase or uppercase, there's no real need to store them. If you want to use them later in a program, let's say, for example, it's a password or it's a username or something like that, and you want to save it for future use, that's when you have to put it into a variable, and that's the way you can do it. You want to make sure it's stored as all uppercase, then just change it to name.upper. And once again, we will get young Boris here and run our program, and Boris is now completely uppercase. So that was an example of is upper, is lower, upper, and lower. Dot count, what does that do? Now, dot count sounds like it might be there to count how long the string is. We already have something to do that. That's .len, okay? .len will count how long the string is for us. Dot count, what it's going to do is it's going to count specific things for us inside the string. So, for example, if I put inside the argument of dot count the string O, and I've put that information into new name, and I'm printing new name, this should give me the number 1, because there is one O in Boris. It is counting how many times something appears. Whoops, wrong one. It is counting how many times something appears inside of a string. I put in 6 O's, therefore the output now is 6. So this can be very useful if you're looking for specific information, or you're looking for a particular kind of character, because I could count ors. How many ors are there? There is 1, because Boris, and if I once again put in Boris Aurore, it's a cool name, if I put this in, all of a sudden there are 3, because there are 3 different times that OR appears in that string. That is what dot count is for. So that is another way to manipulate strings around, because what you can do with that is you can do one that I didn't put in here, which we might as well do, which is called dot replace. Dot replace sounds exactly like what it is. You are going to replace stuff. So what dot replace is going to do is that it is going to introduce you to something a little bit different. Now, what we're going to come and do here is we're going to replace, we're going to go back to our usual Boris name, and we are going to replace one character or set of characters with another. Let's grab the O and let's replace it with a 0. So what I'm doing here is I have in my first argument, I'm saying what I want to replace. My second argument is what I want to replace it with. So I'm replacing the letter O with the string 0. Let's run it and see what happens. Hello, Boris. You now have a 0 in your name. So you can do this for lots of strings. For example, I could grab RIS and now replace it with 0. So it becomes boo 0. I don't know how to say that. It's probably just like boo, whatever. But that's what dot replace does. So you can grab specific aspects of a string and just replace them completely for whatever reason you want to do. That is the purpose of dot replace. And it can work in different ways. I encourage you to try and see if you can put it into an input to see if you can replace stuff immediately as you import it. You can see if you can put it into a print. What we're doing here is, once again, we are storing this data into a variable so that we can use it later for whatever reason you need to do. That's the example, but these functions can work in different ways and different forms, and I encourage you to explore and find out how. Okay, so this is pretty much it with those functions, and this is what I meant by strings within strings, because RIS is a string within Boris. O is effectively a little string within Boris, which you can then take and replace. Well, take a replace, change to uppercase, change to lowercase, a whole bunch of different things that you can do with them. One last thing I will show you is you can, when printing but also storing inside a new variable, we can print name 0. Now, what this is going to do is it just prints B, because those square brackets are the first sort of venture for you folks into lists, which are individual data types stored, or individual sets of data stored inside to one variable. But what you've basically got here is this little brackets, what they're allowing us to do is only print the very first character in the string. Now, it's 0 because mathematically numbers start at 0, and that's very important for you to understand. That's a big concept. The first number in an array is 0. The second number is 1. The third number is 2. Because we count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we just get another place value where it becomes 1 and then 0 again, which is 10. So if you are ever looking to try and only print the first letter and you do name 1, you are going to get the second letter. Okay, so that's very important for you to understand. But this is how we can print out individual aspects of a string from the beginning or from the end. If I was to do -1 here, I am getting the S, because this is where things get a little bit weird. This is basically printing -1, the first letter back from the end, which in this case is an S. If I was to do -2, that should print an I, and there it is. So this is how you can work back from the end of your string or from the front of your string to grab specific information, which sometimes might be necessary for any particular types of programs, one of which might be a challenge that you're about to get at the end of this lesson. So this is one way to grab that information. So there we're doing it at print, but once again here, we can create another variable to have it equal to name 0. Oh, I love it when it does those brackets. So I'm making new name equal to the first letter in the variable name, which should be a B, and if I print new name and it doesn't break, hopefully we should get a B. And there it is. So have a play around with those. Remember, and this is going to be a big thing, so you want to put these into your glossary and try some code on it straight away. You've got is upper, is lower, dot upper, dot lower, dot count, and dot replace. These are all parts of string manipulation. .len is also going to be a good one to sort of add into this particular category. And these are all different ways that you can manipulate and change strings within your program. So use those to try out the next challenge. Good luck.